Hi everybody, it's Anne Lewis, your independent Stamping Up demonstrator based on the Sunshine Coast here in Queensland, Australia. Tonight the gremlins had hit again and I was having trouble connecting my phone to my live stream. And without a phone, you don't get to see anything. So if you can see and hear me, please let me know. Now, whilst a few of you come on, I'll just mention a few of the things that is happening. As you didn't see me last week, the new catalogue has been released and I can show you what's on the inside. And it's full of fabulous things. Now, if you're waiting for a catalogue from me, I've been running a little late. So don't hesitate. um, don't think you're missing out. It just is. I've had a lot on and a lot happening. So now, whilst I wait, thank you, Marianne. So yes, you can see and hear me, obviously. Oh, as I said, I am 5 minutes took, well, it's taken me about 20 minutes to be able to connect the phone. And then I had to use a bit of a workaround. So if anyone else is watching and can see and hear me, let me know as well. Now, just while I'm waiting for a few to come on board. Hi, Glenda, how are you? Kigo is fast asleep in her bed because it's a little chilly here tonight. Now, March. Whew, May is full of great things on the Stamping Up calendar. Because whilst we have the new catalogue, we also have some new online exclusives. And what else do we have? I know we've got this great starter kit offer. So if you've ever considered whether you'd like to become part of the Stamping Up community, like I am, you can actually get, now I meant to have these out, but I'll just go and grab a couple. Can I find them really quickly? Yeah, so well, I can find 4 really quick. Oh no, yeah, we've got all 5. Not only for 169, oh, that's not the right one, but anyway, it doesn't matter. For $169, you can pick $235 worth of products from either the catalogue or online exclusives, or even from the clearance rack, if you like, or as we call it, last chance products. And in addition to that, if you like, there's 2 offers. You can get, I've only got 4 of the in colours here. You can get the set of the new in colours which are valued at $112.50. That's in addition to that $235. And these are the new magnetic ones. Whoop, whoop, love them. So I'm missing one colour, which is Peaceful Pine, because I pulled out the wrong one. But now's the time, and you can do it directly from my website. And if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see all the links there. Rightio, let's get started. Just taking a deep breath. Rightio, so these are the cards that I've made for today to make the box of. Now, I've just wrapped them with a little bit of ribbon. So I'll show you what I did. These are such simple cards because when you're making a card box, you don't need to make it too fancy. Let's get rid of that. So I just want to show you, I made 6 of the cards, all using designer series paper, doing all the hard work. Wait a minute, that one needs to come down there. Oh, it doesn't matter which order. Rightio, so they're the cards. I'm hoping you can see how gorgeous these are. And I've just decorated the inside, the simple message. I kept the inside really simple and I kept the outside pretty simple so that a thinking of you card could be so many different things. Could be for a birthday, could be congratulations, could be anything. So you get to choose what you would use these cards for. Now, I've made these for a gift. Hopefully, who's getting these isn't watching tonight. Then I decorated my envelopes. I always turn the back one over. So I just used basically the paper that was left over from the cards. And then I did another one like that. So you can see those lighter ones go better with that one, with those there. So what we need to do is make a box for this. Now I could just put it in, I'm just sorting these out. I could put them in a cellophane bag, put a ribbon around the thing, add a tag, but I like a box even better. Now I want to show you my box, which I've hidden here. Now this is a big box. So this is a standard card size one. For this one, I've used I'm just rereading it, basic white note cards and envelopes. So you get 20 envelopes and you get 20 card bases, but you can see they're a little littler. I tried that last week, didn't I? So you can see they're a bit smaller, but not a lot smaller. And one of the really good things about this is it's a small palette. So you can really, it's very easy to work with. Now, the card, where's my piece of paper? What are they? So the cards themselves are 3.5 inches by 5 inches. And the envelopes are 5 1/8 by 3 5/8. So you're going to make your box for whatever size you like. You can make a big box like this, or you can make one for a small set of cards. Now, I'll be doing the sizing for this box. Thank you, Glenda. I'm glad you like them. But they're so simple because what I've used, and I'll just show you, is DSP. I've used just have to go over and get another look at this. Greetings for All ephemera pack. So I just used these, saves me time. I used up some retired, hopefully, I don't know whether you can see them. If I just added some bling. And all I did was let's get this. Had the card base. I used a bit of contrasting cardstock and then the DSP. And this DSP is divine. And it doesn't have to be all the same, but I liked using one sheet. This is all one sheet. So what it did was give a little bit of a different finish, and you can see they match. And that's what's so good about this. Now, I'm going to show you the paper. Where is it? It's called the Valley in Bloom Designer Series paper. Now, I did have this all sorted out. Let's see what I've got here. Let's look at my whole sheet. Whoops. I know, that's the B side. So I'm going to be using this sheet tonight. That's the back side. They're the two sides there. So I'm going to be using a tiny scrap of that because I had some left over. And that'll be instead of some cardstock. This is the this is the piece that I used today. So I just use those pieces around there. And I did have a little scrap of that I had to do for the 6th one. But how nice is this paper? And then with that, the leftover that I didn't use, I actually used on the envelopes. And then I used, because I had scrap of this as well, I use that on the envelopes as well. I've used this cardstock before, and I absolutely love it. And you can see why when you see those cards. Rightio, just putting that away before we have a disaster. Rightio, now let's get started so I can show you how to make boxes, because it isn't difficult. but you have to think about it. Now, Stamping Up, and I posted this on my Facebook so that you could print it up if you wish. So it looks like this. But you can actually just write this out on a piece of paper. So I want to show you. Oh, actually, before I get started, I want to show you how a box should look. So you can decorate the top of it. You've got sides, and then this one I have done the bottom with sides at 1.25 inches, and I've done top at 3/4 of an inch. Now my measurement's going to be a little different because it's a smaller box, but you can see what having that contrast makes it jump a little better. So I like this, how it jumps up. Now, I'll show you these cards because these are just for, I decorated the envelope, as you can see. And these were a mixed bunch of cards. And I did this as one of my classes. I'll show you this. So that's one. That's another. That's another. And this uses the Delicate Dreams Designer Series paper. And it's another one where the Designer Series paper does all the work. So let's get started so we can make a nice, neat box like this. Now, what makes a nice, neat box? The lid fitting over the bottom really nicely. So you can see there's no little bubbles or anything, which is what seems to happen when we make boxes sometimes. So let's get this. Now I'm going to tie these up again because they're a bit easier to handle. You've now seen them. As I said, I did 6 cards. On that other box, I only did 4. Now, let's go. So don't worry about my bow, but this just holds it together. So we've got this. Did anyone else print up this? Let me know. Rightio. So I want my finished box to be, and I'll measure it. So this is the envelopes, remember, 5.25. So I want my finished box. I've got a space here for 5.5 inches in length. So from there to there. Then my width is, I want it to be 4 inches. Now, remember my cards are, did I say 3.5 inches? I just add a little bit on, and yes, they'll wiggle around a bit, but you don't want them to wiggle too much. Now, always remember that your envelopes will be bigger than your cards. So don't work off your cards if you're including envelopes. Rightio. So my finished length, and my height, let's just add this on, is, what am I gonna, is 1.25 inches. I'm gonna go because it gives me a little bit to expand. So my height is 1.25 inches. Rightio. So I've just got that written there. I'm hoping, let's just do it in black so you can see it. From now on, we'll do it in black. Right. So the finished length is 5.5 inches. Right. Now, I'm going to, where's my previous box? So my previous box, remember I'm doing the lid at the moment, has a 3/4 of an inch. So this time I'm only going to do 1/2 inch because it's a smaller box. So I'm going to put 1/2 inch, and then it says on here to put another 1/2 inch on, and that is going to make it, I have kind of worked this out so I can't go wrong. That's the theory anyway, 8 inches. So, except that's not right. 5.5. How did I get to 8 inches on that? Right now, 5.5. This is the lid. By finished height, which is 2 of those, 1 inch. So that's not right. That is 6.5 inches. So that's just the top. Now, if I was doing that in centimetres, it would be 14 centimetres by 1.5 by 1.5. If I add that up, that is going to be 17 centimetres. So let's just see. Yep, and that's perfect. Don't know where I got that 8 from when I did it before. So that's the length. So I know my length is 6.5. So the next one is, I said 4 inches. So the width, which is across here, 4 inches. Again, it's going to be 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And that's going to be 5 inches. All right. Now, if I do centimetres, this is roughly 10 centimetres, 1.5, 1.5, which is going to make oh, that's not right. 10, 1.5, 13 centimetres. Right? That's just in case you're working with centimetres. I like working on inches, as you know. So that's the lid. Don't worry about the lid yet. We'll cut this all out. But I know it's going to be 6.5 by 5 inches that I'm going to cut the lid out of. Now, my lid is going to be, as I did this other one, it's going to be in the coloured cardstock. So it's going to be, to match the other cards, it's going to be in garden green. Mine is going to be. And then, so you can see how it's going to tie in with this. Now, my bottom, we're still working on this. So again, we're putting the length is, but this is the bottom layer, the bottom of the box. So it is going to be 5.5. And remember, I said it was going to be 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches. And the reason you need 1.25 inches is it's got to go 1.25 inches down there. Let's do it this way. 1.25 inches down there, 5.5 inches across, and 1.25 inches back up. Now, this one, and this is what actually makes it fit. You're taking off 1/16. Now, the way this is 2.5, 2.5, 7 inches, 8 inches. Sorry. Whew. Yeah, 8 inches. So this is going to be 8 inches, but we've got to take off 1/16. So that's going to make it 7 15/16. I will show you where the 16ths are if you're not used to using that. Now, the width will be 4 again, 1.25. So 4 across there, but then we need 1.25 up, 1.25 up, because we've got 2 sides to this box. And then again, we're going to take off 1/16. So this is 6.5 inches. So we're going to get to 6 7/16. And I'll show you how to work that out. You can actually use your trimmer and work that out. So now I know that I am cutting that and that. Righto. So let's cut the top first. Right? So my lid is going to be in the garden green. Let's grab, whoops, something's an error has come up on my computer. Of course it does. Hi-dio. Hi Sharon, how are you? Hi-dio. So the top is my garden green, and I'm going to cut it at 6.5 by 5 inches. So remember, this is 8.25, so I can cut off at 5 inches here. I'm going to cut at 6.5, which is that awkward place on my trimmer. So 6.5 by 5. Now I know that my sides are 1/2 inch, so I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Now it's a small, just a little score around, and I could have done it a little wider. Let's just do. So I'm going to score on all 4 sides at 1/2 inch, because that's what I decided my lid was going to be. Now I could have made it a little bigger. Let's keep to this. I don't. So I've scored around that. Now, before I actually put this together, I'm going to decorate this. So I'm going to put that aside and let's cut out my bottom of the box. Now, I've said this is, I'll just show you these measurements, 7/15 of 16ths and 6 7/16. Now I'm going to show you two ways. Well, I'm going to explain it. Maybe what's something that you find a little easier. So I'm going to be doing 6. I don't know. I'm going to get out my pokey tool so I can show this to you. Put this a little closer. Now, from 6, there's 16 of these little spaces, little lines. So I said I needed, what does it say, 15th, 16th. So I know it is just one line back from the 7 inch. So it's easy to measure up. So what have I cut this out? I can't even remember now. Which one have I cut? I've cut, what have I cut? So this way is going to be 7/15/16. So let's go. 7. So I'm just one line back from the 8 inches, which is just over the 20 centimeters. So you get an idea, right? So that's the 7 and 15/16. And then there, I'm going to turn it around and we're going to do 6 7/16. Ooh, that was the one I was trying to do. 6 7/16. So I'll just show you. I'll cut this off. All right. So they're my 2 pieces that I've just cut off. But so where is 6 7/16? Rightio. If you know, there's 16 of these little lines going across. So 16 between the 6 and the 7. So halfway, so on the halfway, 6.5 inches, we know that 6 8/16. So we just have to take it one more back. I'm assuming that's a little hard for you to see. And actually, what I need to do is do this. And then you can see a little better. Sorry about that. So I'll just show you. So that's 8/16 at 6.5. And then we're just going to go back one of those lines in the inches there, one of those little lines, and that's 7/16. So, oh my goodness, I've confused myself here. I didn't bring out my white. I'm sorry about that. We're going to just do this very quickly. I'm going to grab another piece of green. I picked up the wrong sheet of paper. I couldn't work out why. So I'm just doing 6.5 by 5.5. Let's go back. 6.5 by 5.5. And I'm scoring, sorry, 6.5 6.5 by 5, not 5.5. Righto. And then I'm just scoring 1/2 inch all the way around. Oh, now I've got that piece. I just picked up the green leftover. Sorry about this. Righto. So let's go again. This is the white base. So I'm going to be cutting at 7 and 15/16. So it's just one mark pass on the right of the 8 inches. And then I'm going to be doing 6 and 7/16. Rightio. Then I'm going to be scoring 1 1/4 all the way around. And if you think I'm unhappy, I am. This is what happens sometimes when you card make, isn't it? When you hand make. So I'm 1 1/4 inches all the way around. 1 1/4. All the way around. 1 1/4 all the way around. Righto. Now let's make the box bottom. Now the way I always do it is you've got these folds here, so I'll grab my bone folder, just fold those up, just so I get a nice neat edge. Now I'm using thick cardstock, so the basic white thick cardstock, which comes in A4 and also 12 by 12. I don't need the 12 by 12 on this. Now what I always do is I just cut along these lines. I pick, for me, top and bottom, because you're only going to be cutting top and bottom. I'll just show you how I do this. And there's a little tip here that makes box making easy. So you end up with 4 tabs, right? So now what I do, actually I'm going to cut that a little crooked. This is how you keep your box nice and square, is on the tabs, not on the main piece, but on the tabs. You're going to cut a little wedge out. Whoops. And I'll show you what that wedge does in a second. I know. So you can see I'm only cutting a tiny wedge out, and I'll show you how much that wedge is in a second. But only off the tab. Rightio. Let's get rid of that. Now, where's my green sheet? So you can see it's just a tiny little wedge. It's not a big one. What that actually does, actually, I might cut this a little bigger. What that actually does is allow for the thickness of the cardstock. So I want to make my card base. Let's try. Let's just see. Look at that. Perfect. So it all fits in. So you can see how this now comes together. And if you open that up, it's going to look amazing. So what I want to be able to do, this is the inside of my box. I'm going to turn this over. I'm just going to add some double-sided tape. Now, you can use tear and tape or you can use green glue. But because I want this to not have to dry, I'm going to use tear and tape. So I'm just putting tear and tape. I just picked up a little bit of crap on there. Now you can cut tear and tape or you can do what I'm doing. So this is on the outside, you're applying the tear and tape. Now, one of the secrets, where's this will work, is you can actually get a ruler and just go like that, and that makes it really neat. So I'll show you how I do that. I know, so I like using the ruler better than my fingers, to be honest, because it gives a nice, for OCD people like me. So I'm hoping you can see. I've got tear and tape running across. So this is my top, this is my bottom. And then I'm going to put these on the inside. Peel them off, put them on the inside. Now, that little wedge means that this can sit nice and square because it gives me a little bit of leeway on the inside. So let's peel these off. Now I do go one by another thing, but you could do both ends at the same time. So the most important things about this is making sure your top and your corners all line up neatly. Of course, you still do have a little bit. So nice. That one worked. So let's throw this one in. Now, if you're having trouble peeling off your tear and tape, you can always burnish it with your bone folder. Makes it separate a little better. So here we go again. So I want to make sure that my corners line up nicely as well. Right, now we'll do this one. So my box is nice and square. So I've had that little bit of, we'll do this one. So you can see they come together pretty quickly. It's more working out the measurements. Now I know some people wing them, but that's where you get into a little bit of trouble. I know, so there's my box. Of course, I've used the cardstock. It's a little more solid. Let's see. Whoop, whoop. It works. Now, you can see I've got, this is, it's not perfect, but I can just trim that bit off. I know. Get it nice and straight. Now you can't even tell. So you can have a little fiddle with it. I know. So now you can see. Now we've got a lid to go over here. So let's grab the bone folder. Again, we don't need those measurements. Obviously, I didn't use them enough. Righto. I'm just turning these over. I know. Right now, this time, because this is going to sit over, and I made this that 1/16 smaller, it's going to fit perfectly. Look at that. But I want to decorate this before I actually make it into a box. So, now, I'm just looking for some white. Let's grab some, just go and grab some white paint, white cardstock. Righto. Now you know that I made this. Where's those measurements again? The top will be 5.5 by 4 inches. So let's check. 5.5 inches by 4. Now remember, I'm only going in between the folds because that's the only bit you're going to see. So I need to cut a piece that's going to work for that. So let's grab my trimmer. I'm going to put a 1/2 inch border, so 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm going to cut at 5 inches by 3.5. 5 inches, 5 inches by, oh, which way will I go? I think this is 5 inches. It is. So 3.5. Oops. 5 inches. So that will be my base. And you see I left a nice colour pop on there. Now I'm going to cut out my beautiful designer series paper, which will be 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. Now, 4 3/4 has to go down this way. Otherwise, my pattern's going to be going a bit skew-whiff. 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. I think I got that right. No, 3 1/4. How gorgeous is this paper? I know. So you can see without putting it together. So I've got a nice pop of white, so it pops up, and you can see it matches what's inside. So let's just glue this. I'm going to use some green glue. I think this is pretty empty, but let's see if we can finish it up. You could use any designer series paper. You can use any pattern paper. And doing cards and a box like this is a great way to get into your stash. And this is going to be a great gift. Now, I'm keeping this part flat, so I'm not going to add any dimensionals. Okay. So doesn't that paper look amazing? And it's different from the paper in here, but you can see it still matches. Okay, so now what I decided to do, now this is just, it was a scrap of designer series paper, of the same paper. So I'm going to use that as a base. I use the Stylish Shapes to die cut this, and then I just embossed it with one of our retired embossing folders because I loved just how it added a little bit of a little extra. So I'm going to glue this down. Now on the back, I did try whether I was going to stamp something, but I didn't like that. That's why I embossed it. Now I just punched this out with a 2 1/4 inch punch, the back piece, and that was die cut. Now where's my, well, here it is. So I've chosen a very generic sentiment of best wishes to pop up there. Now I've got some ribbon. Now remember, I used some ribbon. I'll retie this and make it a little cuter. But I had this ribbon, so I did mean to put it underneath beforehand. So let's maybe just, I can put a little piece like this underneath here. So let's see if that works. Just ties it all together. I'm going to pop this up before I lose it. Oh, where's another? Oh, here it is. Yeah. So pop this up. Now I'll put this, may not be in the center, I might decide. Oh, this I'll put in the center. So I want it nice and square because that's the text. I don't. So then I've got to decide whether I want to put it up there, put it in the middle. I like it in the middle better, and I'm going to pop it up again. Now, I'm not going to stick that on there yet, but doesn't that black just make it pop? And such an easy way of doing it using the ephemera pack, and it matches what my cards look like. So I've got that there. Well, I put a little bit of ribbon underneath just to tie it in. I can trim this off. Oh, I like that. I know. So I can trim that a little bit once I put it down. Now I'm just going to put some double-sided tape. Now I know we can use glue dots, but I find, I'm just going to make sure that's going to hide underneath. I find double-sided tape a little more secure for something like this. That's a bit big. Okay, I'll put that there. Now I'll peel that off, and I think everybody has their own way of doing some things. And this, I just find this, but there are some times, especially with twine, I would only use glue dots. Rightio. So I'm going to trim this off a little bit. Now all that will be hidden by my circle. Let's just get this so it looks, it doesn't look very nice. I know. As I said, I'll have to trim that. So that's nice and secure. I'll just trim this a little bit. I'm sure I'll have to trim it a bit more. Then I'll take this off. You can see how pretty that now looks. Now what I could have done is actually turn that over behind, and I wouldn't have had a wrong side showing. Rightio, so this is how it's going to look. How nice does that look? Rightio, I've got some comments. Rightio, the Elizabeth, the box measurements template is actually on. I've included the photo of it, so you can just print it up straight off my Facebook page when I advertised for tonight. So it's on this morning's post in the comments. Rightio, so here's the lid. Going to do exactly the same. I'm just going to cut down the score lines. I'm only doing it on the top. As I said, you can work from the side too, but of course you don't want to be cutting in the wrong place. I always only cut top and bottom. Again, I'm going to take that little wedge out. Not a big wedge, just a little wedge. As I said, you don't have to make your box, with the same sides as mine. Let's clean that up a little bit. Let's get rid of that. Grab some more. Now, I'm only going to use one piece of tear and tape. So I'm going to put it on the side and just run up the top and use my ruler again. It is a ruler anyway. Sure, there's more than one ruler out here. Just do that. And again. Now, Elizabeth, if you can't find it, send me a message and I will send it to you. Now, what I will say, it is available with Stampin' Up, but my printer wouldn't print up the PDF, so I had to do it as an image, and you might find your printer won't do it either. So who else uses a ruler for this rather than tear and tape? Actually, ruler's in an awkward spot. Rightio. Easy as, and how cute is this? And what a great gift. Right, so there, can't bring it around, make sure it's nice and square. I'm hoping you can see that. I want it really square. It's a little harder when it's a bit smaller. So again, let's see if I can put that in the light. Now you can I say, give it a bit of a shove to make sure it fits. I'll take off these. Now, I would say, and I was summing this up a little before, but I think this box would cost about $10, not counting your time, as you know. I'm just pushing that in to get it nice and square. So how nice does that look? And I'm going to put it on this box. Whoop, whoop, fits perfectly. So no little wobbles. It fits nice and tight. And how nice does that look? Me don't have the strength to tear off. Ideo. So what do you think? Would you make this? Is such a great gift. Now, as I said, I would probably take maybe the sides of that lid down a little further, but I still like that really big contrast. So this is my first box made for standard card sizes, 5.5 by 8.25, folded into 4 1/8. But this is just so cute, and I love how this is finished up. Now, if by some chance, now I'll just show you another trick that I do. Sometimes it's not necessarily having it work out perfect, first off. Sometimes, now you could do this with liquid glue as well. So because I only put one little bit, this one is popping up a little bit. So I'm going to just slide in a glue dot. Now I could put some liquid glue in it. Fixed, done. This one's the same. I obviously didn't put that tear and tape right to the very edge. So this is a way of fixing. There's so many things you could use this technique for, because sometimes you haven't glued your, yeah, that's it. It's only 2 sides. So there you go. So nice and tight, looks really nice, really pops. Hoping you can see how nice that decoration is. So it's just got a best wishes. Oh, and these are upside down. And then these, I can tie this a little better now. Let's put a nice tie on it. And I will add not only the ribbon, but let's add some more of those embellishments. Let's make that look a little prettier. And I can trim this off a little bit. I left this quite big because I knew I'd have to retie it. Now I've got these that are called iridescent foil gems. Now I think they're retired, but they're super cute, and I like using up my retired stuffs, especially for gifts like this. So we have so many beautiful gems, so I have to, I think they look better, not so much on the white. I think they look better over here. So let's just add, I like them on the green, and then we'll put just one down here. So there you go. So clean and neat box in fresh colours. Well, Marianne, you made one of these boxes, the big one, the other day. So this is kind of a refresher for you. But print out the template because you can use it. And you do have to think when you're filling it out. But once you start, unless you grab the wrong piece of paper like I did, once you start, you know it's going to turn out like this perfect box. And it's fabulous. It's nice and strong, and it's a perfect size for my cards. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but you want that, but it's still, you wouldn't want any bigger or any smaller. So what do you think? Do you like, who's going to have a go at a box? Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm glad you like it. And just seeing, catching up on any comments. Hi, so if you received this box of cards, would you be excited? I certainly would. And even though I have lots of cards, I love it when someone gives me something that's handmade, and just is stunning. How do you go? Now, don't forget, if you're at all interested in joining the Stamping Up community and my team, the Crafty Paper Bees. That is a great offer. I don't know. It's a great offer. Now I've only got 4 ink pads here. I've got the 5th over there somewhere. You get this. So this is the special for the month of May. We don't have specials all the time. Normally, for $169, you can choose $235 worth of products. These don't sit together because they're magnetic. However, maybe if I do that, they'll sit better. So you don't want to separate as magnets do. For $169, normally you can choose $235 worth of product of your own choice out of the catalogs online. But now, in addition to that, you get to choose, you can pick these ink pads. These are the brand new ones that are only in the in colors, 5 in colors. They're magnetic. They're fabulous. Can't tell you how good they are. Got that round the wrong way. So they don't take up much space. They still fit into Stampin' Up storage if you have them. And if you're looking of how to line them up equally, send me a message and I will post it. But you get these in addition and they're worth $112.50. It is a great bargain. If I could add up, I would say that is $65 plus $112. So it's nearly just under $200 additional above your 169. So it's the best deal. And you get to choose how you get a demonstrator. So hopefully you've learned how to pay boxes, make boxes, play boxes, make boxes. Next week, I am not sure whether I'm going live or not because I head away the day after early in the morning. So we'll see how I'm going. If I'm all packed, I'll definitely do another live. But I'm away for a week. Ideo. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it all. Like if you're watching on YouTube, also if you're watching on Facebook, because that really helps me spread the word. And also share it if you've got some friends who might be interested in some crafting ideas. So thanks, everybody. Really had a good night. Other than that, just a little hiccup at the start. Thank you. Bye for now.